some errands to go out and run this morning, but welcome aboard. We're glad to have you with us for a while this morning.
Several cups of coffee might motivate you for doing some repairs around the house. Do you do any painting?
I'm known as Mr. Semi-Gloss Latex in my neighborhood, as a matter of fact.
You're known as that in my neighborhood, too. I don't understand
I'm
that.
famous far and wide. No, I do quite a bit, but after a while, every once in a while, I'm ready to move away from it.
That's right.
I'm ready to move away from it right now.
I'm sure a lot of people feel that way. Well, just take it to me then. You know, when it comes to painting, especially moldings and trims, those can be the most difficult for any inexperienced painter. But this morning, our handyman, Dale Cranston, shows us how to prepare for that big job in today's Around the House.
There's a lot of different tips, a lot of different things that we've been doing, and we just take them for granted. We've been doing them for so long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share a couple of these little tips with you. Here, what we do is we start out by sanding. Okay, now what we use at this stage is 100 grit or 120 grit seal weight. If you fold it in half and you go to sand, see, it just slips like that. It's not quite as efficient. So we fold it in thirds, it gives us a good grip, and then we can do our sanding, get our sanding job done. So once we get it sanded, then we'll move on to our next product, which would be liquid sandpaper. We'll just put some on the rag here. You might want to use some gloves or something if your hands are a little bit tender or something. But now what this is, it's just more insurance policies. In other words, we're trying to get this good, expensive paint that we have to adhere to this. So we've sanded it, and we use liquid sandpaper. And what we've arrived with is we've used oil base on the trim, and we really like the Satin Impervo by Benjamin Moore. Well, that's why I need to keep thinners around. Now, I don't use paint thinner. I use xylene. It's a hotter, more powerful thinner. It's a little bit smellier, but you use less of it. What I do is I add a 1/4 inch on the top of whatever size container I have. So if it's a quart, or if it's a gallon, or if it's a 5-gallon bucket, I'll pour in enough. I'll pour it in there until there's just like a 1/4 inch of the liquid on top. And what you want to do is use a good brush. Buy a good brush, costs about $12 or $15. And this is a pure China bristle, again, for oil base. But what I'll do is I'll get a little bit onto my surface here. You put your little bead like just a 1/4 inch away from where you want it to actually be. Then you come by and just flare the bristles. See if I can get this. And it pushes it over there.
Now, Dale tells us that the same procedure can be used on furniture as well for a painted by a professional appearance. Now, Rich, we were discussing probably the most enjoyable parts of painting are the scraping and the preparation beforehand,
Yes.
the sanding.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. You never, when you hear somebody talk about painting, you never hear them say the words scraping or sanding. Painting is, that's duck soup. That's the easy part.
One of Dale's biggest tips that he always gives us, though, is if you do some of that in advance, it makes it easier to clean up when you're done if you do it well.
That is for sure.
Good preparation.
Never forget to get a permit. If you are looking to spruce up your interior this weekend, what about some new drapes? If you've always wanted to have custom-made looking drapes but could never afford it, our handyman has a quick and relatively easy solution.
We're going to do some homemade drapes today. They're going to look just like custom, and we're going to have a lot of fun. These are the tools we're going to use. We're going to use our board to hang our drapes on, our fabric to cover the board, a stapler, a couple different types. We've got our manual stapler here and a nice automatic one here. And to cover the board here and then staple the drapes on, we're going to be using our tape measure for a layout with a pencil perhaps. And then some of these drapes that we had pulled out of the old house that we're moving from, we have them here hanging on hangers. The swags here and the cascades here. We've got them hanging here. And what we'll do is we'll wrap it with fabric. It can be a liner fabric, the same liner fabric we used on the back of the, or just some liner fabric that you get down at the fabric store. Wrap the whole thing in fabric and staple it on so that it's something there so that you can pin in your drapes so that you can, in case you want to move them back and forth. Plus, it gives the board a finished look, because we'll just use knotty pine for our board, because it gives us good strength, but this covers it over, all righty? And then, once we staple all those on, we'll lay out all the different swags and cascades and make sure we get our layout proper. And then, I'm just going to go along and staple these right on there. Now, this has a little return on it, because this is going to go around the corner. We'll go ahead and set this one first. Got them old staples there. And this pleat is going to be right on the corner. Okay, so now we're ready. We're ready to hang this thing. Let's go see what we got here. And these are the brackets. These are just some regular L brackets that we get down at the hardware store. Okay? That's going to hold this flat board up there. And then we're ready to go in and hang it on our preset brackets that we screwed right into the header up there. And we'll go up and we'll put it on the bracket, make sure it's centered from side to side, screw it in, and we're set. And now you have space over here if you like. You got 2 or 3 inches out here that when the blind lady comes to hang some blinds, she'll have a space where she can just hide the blinds all the way up in there, so when the blinds are drawn all the way up, then this will be covering them.
Nice job. Why am I never that handy? You know, you can buy those drapes already prepackaged at a local drapery store, and if you don't have an electric stapler, you can buy, borrow, or rent one. Still ahead, a picture of the space shuttle, which has apparently been scrubbed for today. It is 9:47 in the morning, 56 degrees, this Saturday, October 7th. All right, what's on your to-do list today? Cleaning the garage, raking the leaves, maybe sprucing up your bathroom. Today, WDIV's handyman Dale Cranston has a relatively simple and inexpensive way of classing up your bathroom mirrors.
What we're going to do today is we're going to take an ordinary slab mirror that we'll have in a bathroom vanity, and we're going to class it up with a nice wood frame. Tools that we would use for this would be our tape measure, so we measure the right size, our blue tape again for our line, pencil, of course, our glass cutter. It's an oil feed type of glass cutter, but usually what I'll do is I'll just put oil right on the head, and that makes the cut a little bit better. I'll go down and I'll just buy the biggest, widest moldings that I can, or something that might fit my motif, alrighty, and I'll miter them together with just my ordinary miter saw and nail them and or glue them and paint up my frame and get it all ready. What we'll do is we're going to measure and find out how wide of a mirror that we're going to use. And what I'm going to do is, with my mirror, I'm going to try and cut it on carpet. Carpet is the best surface to be able to cut mirror on, because if there's any granules or any chips or anything like that underneath, they kind of absorbed into the carpet. You want to have a perfectly nice flat surface. So I've made my measurements now. To draw my line, I'm just going to take my blue tape, and I'm just going to run it right along there. I'm going to mark, hey, this is the side that I'm supposed to be cutting on. And when you press down, the way the book says it is you should be putting 2 pounds of pressure on it, because you just want that roller to just cut the top granule of sand. I'll come right along here. Keep it continuous, whatever you do. Keep it on the glass. You don't have to restart it. Restart it can cause a fracture. Let's see if I can break this one good. Okay. Pick her up now. These edges are a little bit sharper now, but since they're in this finished frame, once I lay it down, I'll kind of center it in here, and I'll just caulk it in with silicone caulk and let it set overnight. Put a whole bead all the way around on that one. That'll hold it up there. A nice custom-made mirror frame that we can paint and finish, or it can be stained wood or whatever fits our motif. Beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Nice idea. Cranston recommends once the glass is in place, you put several drops of silicone glue in the corners to hold it. Let it set for a couple of hours before you hang it. Okay, Mass is on...
Well, I like to think so. My wife is convinced I'm not.
Well, pay attention.
All right.
We're going to pick up some tips here. What are you going to do around the house today? Wash the windows, or perhaps cut some fancy-looking moldings for a couple of your rooms? Well, it may sound difficult, but our handyman, Dale Cranston, makes it look pretty easy.
I think moldings really class up a place. Crown moldings, wider base moldings and things. What we're going to do today is we're going to put in a little crown molding and base molding. Okay, here's some of the tools that I use a lot. I've got my electric miter box. Now, you just have to rent one of these or something, because a hand miter box just does not do it. Okay, I've got my jigsaw, or your dad's jigsaw, whatever, and I use a coping blade on it. It's a real skinny blade so that it can make the sharp turns. And then I've got my hammer with my various size finish nails, my punch, my pencil, my tape measure. I always keep my razor blade, my razor knife handy. What we're going to do is, in our corners for the mitering, we're going to do what's called coping. So what I did in the coping method is we put the first one in straight all the way across. In other words, dead into the corners. I just measured it, put one straight in. It might be a little bit loose on either end, which is okay. Just a little bit loose is okay. To get my measurement, what I'll do is I'll just hook my tape down here. I'll find out how much play there is there a little bit. There might be a little bit of play. And I'll just walk down, carry my little ladder here. I'm showing you how you do this by yourself because a lot of times I end up by myself. Alrighty. And I measure it, and I get my measurement. Now, one end of this is going to be straight into the corner again. We don't need to miter both ends. We're just going to miter one because of the coping. I'm going to come down and measure. I got 153 1/4. What I need to do is hold my molding the way it's going to go against the ceiling. I'll judge this is my bottom, the little hook here. Sometimes I'll see this put it upside down, but this is the bottom. And I'll hold it at the 45-degree angle with the flat edge against my fence there. And I'll find my mark down there where my saw blade is going to hit it. Alrighty, and I'll hold it at a 45-degree. Now, and I have my saw marked at the 45-degree, properly the way it's going to fit in as if I was mitering the corners. Alrighty, I'll cut it. All right, we've got a miter as if we were going to miter it into the corner. But the other one is going straight in. The other one is going straight in on the wall. All right, just like that. And what we're going to do next is we're going to cope that. What we're going to do is we're just going to cut along the line that we've made with the 45 with our little jigsaw. And we're going to cut it back at a 45. So I'm sitting it right on this mitered edge here so I can get this at a 45. Now we're going to put our piece up. What I've done is I put a nail down at the end to act like as a dead man, working by myself. In other words, someone that's just going to hold it up for me. Okay? And just to hold up. Now that end is just square into the corner there. Okay? And this end that we've coped is now, see how it fits up against there? It just fits right in. Now we're gonna put in our big 16-penny nail. We want to stay away from the edge right now because we don't want to split it. And we're going to keep it kind of low on this particular crown. Alrighty, and put it into this hard ball part, and we'll hammer this in, try to get it into the top plate. Let me just hold it here for myself. Just to show a finished product real quick here, because we don't have time to finish our other job, is here it shows the 5 1/4. Now that was the 5 1/4 finger jointed crown with a little bit of caulking at my joints and in the corner, and to fill my nail holes, and a nice coat of our Satin and Pervo oil-based paint again. Gives it a nice, finished, oil-based look.
Dale always makes it look so easy, but he says that's actually a job you can do yourself. Now, if you have valuables in your home but don't